collecting all of this information, hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. It is a start of a new semester for me, and I just wanted to go over some of the things that I do to prep for a new semester and hopefully share some tips that might be useful to you. So the first tip that I have is to read the course syllabus. I would encourage you to understand the course learning objectives and make a note of it, and also get a sense of the grading and the assessment. I also like to estimate how many hours of work each course is going to take. I also like to locate the study resources that I will be using for the course. Like, for example, some courses just require me to attend class and go through a textbook. Some of the slide decks are offered. I like to make a list of all of the resources that would help me study for that course in that semester. And after collecting all of this information, I also like to take a moment to think about any study strategies that I think would be helpful for the course. The second tip that I have is to look at the big picture. So this means filling your tracker or your planner with all of the deadlines for the various courses that you're taking. So whether that's assessments, whether that's exams, or any classes that you have to attend, or office hours that you might need to go to. I like to do this within the first week of a new semester, just so that I can look for any conflicts and maybe reach out to the instructors in advance if I need a little extra time on certain assignments in case of conflicts. I also like to think about how my daily routine is going to be affected by my new course schedule. How many days of class do I have? How many times I have to go into campus, or if I have online lectures, what are the logistics of logging in? The third tip that I have is to declutter, doing a digital declutter. So what that means is I like to look at my desktop first of all, which is forever messy. I like to organize things into folders for each specific course, and I prefer keeping only my current semester courses on my iPad. So I like to offload my previous semester slide decks or course notes. The fourth tip that I have is to reflect and think about my goals for the new semester. So I like to look back and think about my previous semester, sort of reflect on what I did right and what I did wrong, and I love creating the ins and outs list for every single semester, and I try to think about what I would like to leave behind in my previous semester and what I would like to further build on or improve on in my new semester. So I'd encourage you to think about any new study habits that you want to develop, or study skills you want to improve on, or just overall trying to be more productive, but also trying to keep a healthy balance. Another way I like to do this is by journaling. I have gone over my journaling system here on this channel before. I will link the video. And finally, having a self-care toolkit or a self-care bingo. This is something that I actually started this year. Back in medical school or in undergrad, I never tried to strategize or prioritize self-care before. And how I do this is I set out 4 to 6 activities that I think would be fun to do this specific month. It could be seasonal, could be an activity that's happening in the city that I'm excited to go to, or it could be as simple as getting an extra hour of sleep, or going for a walk, or going to a favorite restaurant, or just watching an episode of my favorite anime. So it really does range. I think it's a great way for me to stay motivated towards my goals and help to keep that work-life balance. So yeah, these are the 5 major tips that I had to share. I hope that some of it is helpful for you. And if you have some back to school tips or new semester prep tips that you would like to share, I'd love to hear from you in the comments.
그중에는 저희가 또 콘서트 준비를 매일매일 정말 열심히 하고 있습니다. 기대 많이 해주셔도 될 것 같고, 그러다가 사실
So I just booked my medical licensing exams. This is something that I've been meaning to do for years and years and years. I moved to Canada more than 4 years ago in the hopes of practicing here someday. And these are essentially the medical licensing exams that I have to take in order to hopefully practice here someday. And as you can see, they're very high stakes exams. They're very expensive, and it's just something like you kind of have to do. So I always knew that this day was going to come. It's undoubtedly a privilege that I am able to be eligible for these exams, to take these exams. So yeah, I guess the pressure is on. I definitely had a little bit of a panic attack as I was choosing my dates for this exam. I am going to take them sometime later this year, and we'll see how things go. So, essentially, what the rest of this year looks like is I'm going to be studying my master's degree part time, as I have been so far. And I am going to be studying for these licensing exams at the same time. And earlier in the video, I did mention that I was looking for part time work. So, this is basically just to get some clinical work experience here because that just kind of helps, to integrate into the clinical space here. So, wish me all the best. I really don't know how the next couple of months are going to pan out, but I've really been enjoying making these vlogs. And I hope that someday I can look back on them and, just reminisce on these days that have been very challenging, but also very fulfilling for me. And yeah, a couple of hundred people are watching my videos at this point, and I just wanted to thank you for being here. I really appreciate the views and the people who have chosen to subscribe and be a part of this community that is evolving. I appreciate it. And if you're also going through something similar in terms of you're working towards a long term goal that feels impossible, or you're going through a hard time, just know that you've got this. It may seem impossible right now, but my philosophy is I try to be 1% better every day, and I try not to have two low days in a row. And of course, I have my low days and days that I'm not productive, but given my exam timeline at this point, I think the pressure is definitely on to do my best and be at my best. But also, like I've spoken about, having that work-life balance, my self-care bingo is definitely going to take me through this year. So until next time, I'll see you around, and thanks for watching.